And Secretary Blinken is in London now, meeting with the UK's Foreign Secretary. The two were set to discuss the war in Ukraine and efforts to help those who have fled the country. Today's meeting falls on World Refugee Day, and according to the International Rescue Committee, more than 18 million people are in need of humanitarian aid in Ukraine. Over 8 million have been forced to leave the country, and 5 million are internally displaced. Joining us now, President and CEO of the International Rescue Committee, David Miliband. David, thank you for coming on. Overall, from the IRC, more people have been forced to flee their homes than ever before. Is this mostly because of the war in Ukraine, or are there other factors?
Thanks, Mika. No, the Ukraine is only a small part of the global refugee crisis. 1 in every 74 people on the planet is now a refugee or an internally displaced person, 110 million people in total. Ukraine, those figures that you quoted, puts it in the top 3. There's still 8 million internally displaced and about 6 million refugees from the crisis in Syria, 10 years, 12 years now running. Afghanistan, also a very major source of displacement. And you have reported on the recent downturn in Sudan. 4 years ago, there was a hope for democracy and the development of a civilian-led government in Sudan. Now, between 1.5 and 2 million people displaced. So what we're seeing is, in the main, conflicts within states, so-called civil wars, often driven by stress over resources and the climate crisis, that's producing this unprecedented state of affairs where more and more people are in humanitarian need and where the global political system looks blocked.
And the Biden administration obviously has worked hard to rebuild the U.S. refugee program. But are there areas where perhaps the United States could do more, especially when it comes to restrictions on asylum seekers?
Yes, that's a great point. There's a really interesting part of the U.S. experience, which is that the growing levels of cruelty until 2021, until the new Biden administration came in, the greater cruelty wasn't associated with greater order at the border, it was associated with disorder. And there's a very simple reason for that. If you block all the legal routes for people to claim asylum, you end up empowering the people smugglers. And that's what's happened. More and more desperation south of the border left the Biden administration, when it came in, with a situation where the people smugglers were in charge. It's trying to put that right. It's established some good new mechanisms, boosting refugee resettlement. But there is a very big decision it's got. At the moment, it's made it illegal for someone to claim asylum from within the United States. In fact, they get kicked out for 5 years. We don't think that is a part of an orderly approach to asylum, because it's going to lead more people to feel that they're going to have to put themselves back in the hands of the people smugglers. So there's been a start. After May the 12th, when Title 42 ended, there wasn't the chaos that had been predicted. We would argue that's because there are orderly ways in which people can exercise their right to claim asylum. No one has a right to live in the United States, but everyone has a right to apply for asylum and achieve some safety from a situation, yes, south of the border. But remember, some of the people applying for asylum from south of the US border have come all the way from Afghanistan or Iran or persecution elsewhere.
David, before your current role, working a very noble role with refugees with the IRC, you were the Foreign Secretary from the Labour Party. And now it's an interesting time politically in the UK, and the Labour Party could potentially be on the upswing after 13 years of Conservative dominance in UK politics. Would you try to find a seat in the UK and ever go back and try to get back into UK politics?
Well, that's a very nice thing of you to bring me back to my old life rather than my new life. I'm very committed to what I'm doing, obviously. But the honest answer, and the thing about modern politics, you've got to say the same thing in private as you say in public. And what I always say is that I'm very committed to my current job, but I don't know what I'm going to do next. Now, people can then say, well, you're not very good at career planning, are you? Well, that's true. I haven't been that good at career planning, but I've managed to find ways of living out my values. And what I try and do is make a difference. You're right that the UK has suffered from 13 years of Conservative government, since the Labour government I was part of was kicked out of office in 2010. The country is suffering from what a think tank today called an economic doom loop. So there's very serious problems. And obviously the politics of, if you like, right-wing populism has been very evident in the UK, post-truth politics in respect of Brexit and other issues. There's some evidence of a pushback, both within the Conservative Party and in the country at large. But there's still probably a year and a half to go until the election. And I'm fighting for the the humanitarian needs around the world and the refugees around the world at the moment.